Welcome to another video of Spanish Performance, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that I usually stress about a lot when I talk to interns, when I talk to other coaches, and especially when I talk to athletes. As always, I appreciate so much if you can give it a like, if you can share this with anyone that you think is going to be interested, interns, people that's entering their strength conditioning career, athletes, anybody that you think can find this beneficial. We're going to be talking about human performance today. Human performance is a really general topic, but I want to address it because in a lot of terms, especially European strength conditioning, I think the US has clarified this a little bit more just because of the dynamic of the profession, but I think it's starting to shift a little bit into this dynamic of specific or special or specialist strength and conditioning training. And I think it's something that's not good for the profession in general. When we talk about strength conditioning, I like to separate our job into sections. There's so many things that we do as strength conditioning coaches, but the first two and the most important two, the first one is the component of human performance, of sports performance, just the ability for us to create adaptations to get our athletes better at what they do in terms of performance. The second one is going to be monitoring the load of the athlete as an athlete in their sport, monitoring the load in the weight room and all the work we do. That is going to be much more specific when it comes to any sport because every sport is going to be different, every position is going to be different, and that's where the specificity of our job comes in, right? But today I want to focus on that part of human performance. We tend to think about this as sport-specific performance, and I want to clarify that this is just the wrong route to go about just because our athletes are humans. Every human has the same abilities, their potential abilities to do the same stuff. So when I classify these abilities on human performance, I like to think about the generalistic and the specialist abilities, or the specialist and generalistic approach that we can have to these human performance improvements. And when we think about generalistic, I want to think about a lot of small pieces. This is a whole puzzle, right? Where we have so many different movement skills, anything that you can think about in adaptations and physiology that are going to be so small and they're going to compound to a whole lot of skills and movements, right? That's human performance. Every movement skill, anything that a human can get better at using their body. When we talk about those specialists, then we're going to think about a combination of those human performance abilities in order to create one action. So if we're thinking about the specialists, it could be about any sport. We're thinking about volleyball, we're thinking about basketball, soccer, football. Any of those are going to be pretty much a combination of those human performance abilities, put them together in order to create one sport, one position, one sport. So the main idea I want to emphasize here is we are human performance coaches. Why is that? We have imagined all these possibilities that a human can be tapping into to get better at, right? There's so many things that you can be doing. We cannot always do all of them, but this is the way I like to think about strength conditioning, right? When I program for an athlete, when I want an athlete to get better. If we're thinking about a sport, let's say this is basketball, right? Let's say that a basketball athlete in general, out of all the resources that a human can have to perform at their best athletically, he's gonna need, let's say, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say that blue thing is a circle right there. Those are the skills that generally an athlete is gonna need. When we're thinking about a basketball player, he needs those, but then we started to think about different things. Position he plays, the part of the life that they are into right now, the time of the game, the requisites that coach is getting out of that athlete, whatever that coach needs from that athlete, whatever teammates there is on the court with him. There's so many variables that are going to change and are going to shift the needs of that human performance abilities that athlete needs to have, that instead of being these 5 that we just talked about, it might become 8 when we add these other skills that they're going to need in that game, at that specific portion of the game and that moment of the game, right? Things are going to change, they're going to shift constantly. They're going to shift into a control environment. They're going to shift into a control amount of abilities that a basketball athlete could need. There's so many of them, but they're going to require different ones in different aspects of the game. And that's going to happen with any different sport. So what we want to do as coaches is to give those athletes the ability to do all those, to control somehow all those. Now they're going to be better, much better at the specificity, the specialists, the specific ones that they're going to need in their sport, just because they're going to be practicing their sport so much. But our job as strength conditioning, as human performance coaches, is to improve all, or to at least give them a base of all, so they have the ability to perform all of them. We're going to emphasize more on those that they need more on their sport, on those that they're going to be specialists on, but we still need to give them all those abilities. So just to wrap it up, pretty much what I do, what I like to do with my athletes, first one is play. I like to use modified sports. I like to use different games, different constraints, different stuff that we can utilize with different games to put them in the position where they have to use all those skills, right? Somebody like Austin Jochum, there's somebody that does that great. Joel Smith does that all the time. Just put those athletes in an environment where they have to decide, where they have to play around, where they have to find, and they have to develop in different situations that are going to require multiple of those skills at different times in different combinations, right? And the second part is the sport performance training, the human performance training, the strength conditioning, the parts that we do of strength training, slow, fast, Olympic lifts, loaded jumps, plyometrics, sprinting, any of the stuff we do, we're using it to develop the general abilities of human performance, right? We're working on those as a general to give them the ability to then improve those skills and those movements with the improvements at the physiological level with those adaptations that we're looking for. That training has to be general. It has to be, I want to train any athlete to perform the best they can on those at the physiological level, at the athletic level, right? So that's why training needs to be so general. That's why we need to train athletes to be the best human performers they can be, and then they're going to specify playing their sport and doing those plays and those games that we've talked about. So the last thing is to become a specialist. They're going to become a specialist playing their sport. That's how they're going to become a specialist. Yes, we're going to give them a leg up using those general abilities, and not only those, but playing around with those general to make them a little bit more specific depending on the type of contractions that they need, more speed, less speed, more strength, more slow, whatever we want to play around with that. But at the end of the day, that's still going to be a general ability that we're giving them to play around and to improve on those specific skills. And their sports what's going to give them that specificity. That's what's going to turn them into those specialists. So once again, I appreciate your feedback, your comments, discussions that you want to have. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the like. I appreciate support, sharing this with anybody that you find helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.